Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily Space for 27 February 2019. I am your host, Annie Wilson. So, yeah, let's get at it. So, before I begin, as always, please at me with your questions so it's easier for me to find them. And yeah, I think I'm going to cover all the news and then go back for questions. So, yeah, let's get into it. So I have two launches to talk today to you about, and one launch craft story, kind of. So, let's get at it as soon as I find the thing. Give me a second. So, Hi, Noel. So yeah, the first launch this week is going to be Aryan Space. This launch is at 2100 hours, 37 minutes UTC later today. That is 4:37 p.m. East Coast and 1:37 p.m. West Coast. And Tinker already has, opinions on these launch times. So yes, I will be covering this later today as well. So what are they launching? They are launching the first of 6. They're going to be launching the first 6 satellites out of a possible at least 600. This is the picture of the payload, and OneWeb is the customer, and first is an education program that they're partnering with. I don't quite understand it all. So here's a close-up of the satellite, so you guys can get kind of an idea of how big it is. So yeah, they have 10 of these made, and they're launching 6. And OneWeb wants to essentially cover the Earth in satellites so everybody has broadband connection. Elon Musk has talked about this. OneWeb is actually doing the thing. The reason why they're only launching 6 is because they're going to hold the 4 down here on Earth as spares in case something goes wrong or they need to make adjustments. So yeah, essentially these first 6 are the test run of all of these satellites. They're going to be launched into low Earth orbit, and the short-term goal appears to be connecting boats and planes to the internet, although apparently with these first 6, they're going to connect, schools to the internet that haven't been previously connected, so that's pretty freaking cool. After they get these first 6 schools connected and the first commercial customers of boats and planes get connected, then the long-term goal is global coverage for everyone, which will be cool. They want to hit their speed of 50 megabits, not megabytes, megabits per second. And for some kind of comparison, that's about how fast my cable to internet is. So it's the capital M, lowercase b, PS. That's Mike, Bravo, Papa, Sierra. But capital Mike. Service might start this year. Commercial service might start this year, but it's more likely to be operational in 2020. 50 megabytes per second, not 50. I think when somebody had done the math, you essentially take, because there's 8 bits per byte, so you take the 50 and divide it by 8, and then you get, I think I had read earlier of 6.25 capital Mike, capital Bravo, Papa Sierra. So these satellites are pretty cool. Yeah, we're not even going to get into bit math. I see Trekker Kev going, usually divide by 10. No, there's 8 bits per byte. So no, don't divide by 10. That's the wrong math. So these satellites are kind of neat. So instead of being handcrafted, artisanal, bespoke technology, these are kind of produced in like a factory line. This picture really doesn't show it very well, but this picture gives you a good idea of how big these things were. They were originally expecting these satellites to be much, much bigger. I think closer to the 200 kilogram range. That's 100 2-liter bottles for Americans. But these ones are 147.4 kilograms. So if you're American, that's about 74 2-liter bottles. So this will be neat. So essentially, again, once these 6 have proven themselves, and so on and so forth, they'll really scale up their factory production and start producing way more of these. They want to get at least 600 up. They're planning for 900. We'll see how it goes. I wish them all the luck in the world. And I hope it goes well. So that's our first launch this week. Our second launch this week is SpaceX. This launch occurs for most of the world on March 2nd. UTC time, 7 hours, 48 minutes. For us East Coast folk, that's 2:48 a.m. on March 2nd. If you're on the West Coast, it's 11:48 p.m. on March 1st. So, yeah, that's pretty late. We will be streaming this. I'm not sure if it's going to be Dr. Pamela or myself that streams it, but we're going to stream it. If it's me, we're probably going to start streaming way early to just play video games and stay awake through this. There may or may not be coffee involved. So, what are they launching? They are launching a uncrewed Crew Dragoncraft. I repeat, there are no humans on this spacecraft, but there will eventually be humans on this spacecraft. This is a test flight, and it will go to the International Space Station, the ISS, and do the automatic docking thing, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if it will come back with return cargo and or trash. I know after it returns, it will be refurbished and prepared for the next time it launches, which will be the abort test later this year. So if this is successful, which it should be, the next step is that Crude, with people in it, abort test later this year. So here is a picture of the payload or the capsule on top of the rocket inside the thing, and yeah, it's big. It's big. And here is a picture of it up and ready for launch. Bright and early on the 2nd. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. DPI is saying it will probably carry payload both ways. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find any information. I imagine it's going to carry something, because why not? That just seems like a waste to send it to dock to the ISS with nothing in it. But who knows? It's a test. Maybe they just want to make sure everything works right. Stormer Joe says there's a mannequin on board. Don't know its name. I am not at all surprised. They said in the FRR press conference. I don't know what Foxtrot Romeo stands for, but I believe you. I literally only search the web, and sometimes the most successful thing I pick up are pictures. So yes, thank you for paying attention and bringing all of this extra information to me, because it's nice to know. Flight readiness review. That makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Yeah, sometimes you guys know so much more about where to find out info than I do, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Alright, so those were the 2 launches this week, and now for some space news about Launchcraft. So, bird poop versus spaceship. Who wins? Spoiler alert, the bird poop. Process that for a second. Just process that. Alright, so now that you've had time to process that the bird poop will win over a spaceship, why will the bird poop win? Alright, so the picture on the screen is of SpaceX's Elon Musk's Starship, and this is supposed to carry something like 100 people to the moon and Mars and whatnot. It's a very, very large spaceship, and it's very shiny and made out of metal. I think it's stainless steel. And in this picture, you may notice the lack of heat shields. That's because the plan for the heat shield is not the typical one. Usually, the current heat shields are a material that burns up on re-entry. The heat shields protect the spacecraft and prevent them from overheating, which essentially would cause rapid disassembly. As Paranor says, it is ablative shielding. The old space shuttle used ceramic tiles that were glued or somehow adhered to the belly of the spacecraft. So that was how, or not just the belly, but it was, they used ceramic tiles, and the tiles were reusable. So that's how this, the old, I'm sorry, my dog is doing something, and it's just very distracting. So yeah, space shuttle used ceramic. Neither of these things are happening here. They want to make Starship sweat out coolant through microscopic holes or pores in the exterior of the craft to keep it cool and not make the spaceship melt, literally. Alright. Sounds like a neat thing, but there's like at least 3 problems with this. 1, holes can get clogged with bird poop here on Earth. You can't exactly stop birds from pooping on things. It's good luck with that. 2, holes can get clogged with dust on Mars, where Elon Musk wants to take this thing. And there's dust here on Earth as well. How do you clean a bunch of dust out of microscopic pores on Mars when you have no gantry? And gantry is just that structure that keeps the spacecraft and, booster upright before launch. I mean, we could do that on Earth. That would be very time consuming, but how do you do that on Mars? You can't really. And the third problem, at least, is the planned coolant, which they plan to use methane as the coolant. I'll get into why they're not using water in a second. Methane is made up of 1 carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms. I don't have my little molecule thingies to show you. So it's this little pyramid, and the problem is that at high temperatures, the carbons like to stick together in a process that's called coking. So in order for this to happen, I think the hydrogen molecules separate and then the carbon atoms can interact with each other. Something happens that makes these carbon atoms stick together, and they turn solid, which is going to clog up the holes. Alright, so why aren't they using water? Because water seems like it would be an interesting thing. Kind of logical thing. Water freezes very quickly at low temperatures, and when water freezes, it expands. Yeah, that might actually break the metal. So there's at least 4 problems with this solution, or with this method. And it's not like we haven't thought about this before as human beings, and this has been tested in like NASA wind chambers, and Clogs matter. Clogs matter because a clog can block coolant from leaking, or block coolant from getting to where it needs to be. And that essentially creates a hole in the heat shield. One fault in the heat shield can bring the whole spacecraft down, as we've unfortunately seen before. Another problem that definitely pops up in the wind tunnels with the NASA tests is that the scale models actually disintegrate between the heat and the wind. They just disintegrate. So yeah, that's not terrifying or anything. Not at all. There was one expert whose name I forget at the moment, and I apologize, who said one way to get around all of this is to just add more holes. Add more holes than you think you would possibly need. That way, you know, if some of them get clogged, it's not too big of a deal. But if you have exactly the number of holes you need, and one of them gets clogged, you're done. So, yeah, yeah. And the reason why they're going with this method, essentially in theory, is that all these ablative heat shielding, that's the heat shielding that burns up on reentry, it adds weight. The ceramic tiles, it adds weight. Plus, they can deteriorate over time and have to be replaced. When the space shuttle was going, they had to be inspected every so often, I think literally after every launch, and I believe there was a problem with one of them breaking off, and I think that's how the early 2000 disaster happened. I can't think of the name at the moment. It escapes me. But yeah, they're trying to save weight. Sometimes you just need to add the weight. Yeah. It's a little unfortunate. So, yeah. All right. We need some puppies to cheer us up because that's very bleak. Come here, pups. Get on doggy cam. All right. Now you have some dogs on doggy cam. All right. So now it's the time to ask me your question. Super Cowboy asks, what do the Russians use for heat shielding? They probably use the ablative heat shielding. That seems to be the standard. That's what SpaceX currently uses now with the cargo capsules that they send up to the ISS. Actually, I'm not sure if they do that with the ISS, because I think the cargo capsules might actually just burn up in the atmosphere. Because sometimes they're just full of trash when they come back. How will they generate electricity? I'm assuming you're asking how the shields would generate electricity? Or how Starship would generate electricity? I don't know. They're still testing the material for the exterior of Starship, which... oh boy. Another problem with the heat shielding that they want to use for Starshield is that the temperatures that could potentially be reached during re-entry are hotter than what the metal formula that they want to use can stand. So yeah, if the heat shield fails, there literally is going to be stainless steel melting. So, I don't know. They were originally going to use carbon fiber, and I guess they decided stainless steel was quicker to prototype and test and all that other stuff. Hanny asks, how many tests are they planning to do? For the Crude Dragon capsule, at least the 2. There might be a third. This is a modified version of the capsule they've been using for cargo. So they already know that most of the things are okay, but they essentially have to test it for human spaceworthiness. The cargo dragon comes back to Earth, did that countless times. Thank you for the correction, Guido. Because all I could think was, like, maybe they just burn up in the atmosphere with trash, but then how do they get the return experiments back? So, yeah, thanks for the correction, Guido. Veronica asks, would carbon fiber be strong enough? I think it can handle heat a little bit better than the stainless steel. And I know that a couple experts said that it would be better than the stainless steel, but I guess it's more... I think it's just more expensive and harder to prototype and deploy and mold as quickly, I guess. And there might be... there might be some cost issues, which part of me is like, it's SpaceX. Does that really matter? But I guess it does. DPI says the Dragon's trunk might burn up in the atmosphere. That makes sense. That really does. That totally makes sense. And now the dog is literally right off camera. Have a bit. Have more bits. So, Crew Dragon will use one time for people, but cargo only after that. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm totally okay with this plan. I really, really am. Because, yeah, that... I could see them possibly changing that in the future, but I think that's a good reusable plan. They're still reusing it up. Couldn't they send up small things with the sweating setup to see how it performs? Right now, they could. Right now, they test all of that in wind tunnels, and it hasn't been good. And yeah, as Larry points out, NASA is very conservative with lives, as they should be. And I do feel like using it once for people and then over for cargo is a really good idea, because that's still better than, using it once. Arc Jet Facility for the win, says Refsmat. Yeah, I didn't know the name of the facility, I just knew it existed. So, have more Cheerios, Tinker. I just knew it existed. Dragon's trunk was separate. Oh, will separate before re-entry and burn up. Okay, yeah, so yes. Yeah! That is totally where the trash goes. What do you do with the trash? You burn the trash up during re-entry. Works for me. Oh. The dog is like, yes, Cheerios. So, any other questions? I know today has been a rough day political-wise, and I'm glad I could be your break from all of that. Refsmat asks, have you ever been to the space power facility outside of Toledo? I have not. Toledo is 3 to 4 hours from Youngstown, and I don't go to Toledo very often, probably way less than once a year. Hey! Hey! Alright. Yeah, they weren't exactly happy, Gonzalez. They weren't exactly happy about noises they heard outside. Refsmat says it's a giant vacuum chamber originally built for testing nuclear reactors for space. Wow. That's pretty cool. I know there's at least one NASA facility. You know what? If that's the big domed one, I think I've driven past it, but we've never stopped. And I think there's like a NASA facility in Cleveland, and I've never been, and I've lived in the Youngstown area practically my entire life. So that's unfortunate. But you essentially, I know to go to the NASA thing in Cleveland, you have to prove that you're an American citizen. So that's kind of annoying. And like schedule things out in advance. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I know. It's built of aluminum because of low risk of neutron activation. Otherwise, a vacuum chamber would definitely be built of steel. Okay, that is super cool. I do not like nuclear reactors in my biosphere, but they never ask me. There is actually Youngstown State University, YSU, actually tries to keep it really secret. Really, not secret, but quiet. There's actually a inactive nuclear reactor on campus. Yeah, it can't do anything. It's full of whatever rods that make it inactive, and you can't access it. I only know of its existence. I've never been to it. I kind of want to see it just once, just to say I've seen it. But yeah, we used to have a nuclear physics program at YSU, and we no longer do. So that was cool. Yay, Cold War era or something, I guess. I don't know. Neutron activation is when neutron radiation interacts with the environment and makes it radioactive. Yeah, radioactive. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. There was a research reactor a few hundred meters away from the building I'm in. University of Texas replaced their inactive one with one twice the size. It's not there anymore. Yeah, no, the inactive reactor is still at YSU. It's not going away. It's probably too expensive to remove it. And they'll just keep it hidden away wherever it is. Like, it's in the building when I'm at work, it's actually in the building I work at. So yeah. Ta-da! There's also a prison really close to the university. So yeah, I'm making my university look real good right now. I like neutrons better when they are in atoms. Yes, me too. Me too. Yeah. When neutron radiation interacts with steel, it can change the nature of metal because steel has a high neutron cross-section. It embrittles the steel. Oh, geez. Which is not good for vacuum chambers. Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense that the vacuum chamber would be made of aluminum. Plus, aluminum is lighter, isn't it? I think aluminum is lighter. Look at you being cute. Raising everybody's spirits. Are you just going to stare into the camera and steal all of their souls? You are. Okay. Aluminum has a low neutron cross-section, so neutrons can mostly pass through it and not change or irradiate the metal, which is good to know. Good to know. Medium radioactive waste. I do know the one at YSU is one of the, quote, safer ones. I don't remember all of the details because I think I only talk to the astronomers about it like once a year. But it's there. It won't harm me. That's all I know. Oh, okay. Now we're venturing into physics that are way, way beyond my knowledge. Like anything beyond basic mechanical physics is. Part of me is, I don't know. Uranium fuel rods are usually made of zirconium because it has a low neutron cross-section. For fusion, you'd need magnets. Oh, they're talking about fusion reactor being made of aluminum. Fusion isn't the same thing as fission. Magnets, how do they work? Says Ambius. Yeah, for real, right? Oof, 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 oof. Alright. So, it is 1:30. I'm going to show you guys the seeds I got. Even though I showed some of you on Sunday, so if this is a repeat, I apologize. I'm just really excited about these tomato seeds. So if you don't watch my streams on Sunday, we get talking about food rather quick, and I'm actually going to start tomatoes and peppers soon. And one of the tomatoes I got is called Cosmic Eclipse. I'm trying to tilt it so that it doesn't act up for the green screen, but I think it's just going to act up. So tomato, Cosmic Eclipse. Hey! I don't care if you don't like the tomatoes, they're going to be mine. So, yeah. Cosmic tomatoes. I know. This is not what you want. You want something else planted, and that's too bad. But yeah, these are literally these are cool, I want to plant them. I wanted to go with a whole bunch of just cosmic themed everything in the garden this year, but it was way too much. I know it was way too much. I really scaled back. I really tried, Tinker. Tink wants a Cheerio tree planted. She sure does. She sure does. Oh my goodness. It's the bigger one that can get up into the garden. She's too little. So Puck would eat all the Cheerios off the Cheerio tree. Alright, so I shared my tomatoes. It's 1:30 Eastern Time. I'm going to start streaming again at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's an hour and a half from now. Telling little kids that Cheerios are donut seeds is a lot of fun. Oh yeah. Here, plant these donut seeds. I may actually do that to my niece. You have given me a good idea, Rosin. So, but yeah, I'm going to take a break and come back in about an hour and a half where Walker and Ambius and whoever else has Astroneer can join us in playing Astroneer, and we're going to essentially play Astroneer for an hour, more or less, until Arian Space's stream starts, and then we'll watch Arian Space's stream, and then the launch. So yeah, come back and join us. As always, we are here because of you. Your donations and your bits and all that other things actually go towards my paycheck. So yeah, thanks for keeping me employed, guys. And also, as always, this has been a production in collaboration with Planetary Science Institute and Youngstown State University. Daily Space is a part of CosmoQuest. Come to CosmoQuest and do all the science! Come join us on our Discord. And join in the games. Post some space memes. Ask about that crater you just found. Because yes, sometimes craters are in strange shapes. What else? Oh, if you ever miss a stream, we archive practically everything up on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, come join us live on Twitch, where you can ask your questions and get real-time live answers. And usually an astronomer who can answer your questions, because I know enough astronomy to be dangerous. Ding! So, I will see you all later. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, we're going to do the thing where I roll the credits and find somebody to raid. As soon as I can find somebody to raid. I have no idea who's live today. But we'll figure it out, won't we? Won't we? And yeah, bye for now. I know, Tinker. I'm rolling them.